there was darkness,
followed by the Big Bang.
scattering matter all over the universe, creating our solar system.
The Milky Way.
The sun in the Milky Way.
Planets around the sun.
And moons around the planets.
Thus creating our universe. Rock.
And other things.
Yes. Things like
Black holes.
time travel.
Alien life.
Carl Sagan. What do we do?
Okay, we have to level with you. We didn't actually read the book.
No, we tried. We really did. We
Couldn't
get through it.
We just couldn't get through it. We found it was just way over our heads.
Yeah, it took me 3 hours to read the first 2 pages. I finally gave up and read Deadpool comics instead.
Every time I tried to read it, I would fall asleep.
You know, say what you want about Stephen Hawking. IQ of 5 billion, whatever. Dude can't write worth shit.
There's no J.K. Rowling.
No, not at all. And the thing is, we really wanted to read this book. We thought it would make us smarter, better people.
It was this drive to become smarter, better people that led Brian and I to spend $50 on this book we had no business possibly understanding. And it was this same drive that led us to pitch the premise for this very ambitious sketch show without ever having read the book in question.
Yeah, the irony of the situation is not lost on us.
But if there's one thing Michinoku Driver does not do, it is disappoint.
No. So instead of showing you what this book is actually about, with all its science and facts, we're going to show you what we think this book is probably about.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, for the first time, Michinoku Driver proudly presents
An even briefer misunderstanding of a brief history of time! Now, in order to understand the universe, you must first understand the physics behind it. Gravity. We begin with Sir Isaac Newton.
Oh, Isaac, you've done it to yourself again. If only you understood women half as well as you understood physics. When will you learn to let love in? I suppose I shall go where any man goes to get some thinking done. My apple tree. And now, I wait for genius to strike. Ah, God, what the? What? Whoa! What is this? It does appear that a magical ball of aether strucketh me in my head. Well, little friend, perhaps you can tell me when it is that old Isaac will find love again.
Ooh, better not tell you now.
Pish posh, not like I need to know now. I'm young, I have all the time in the world. It's not like I'm going to die alone or anything.
Signs point to yes.
But I'm going to die alone?
Oh, definitely yes.
Fiddlesticks in the horsehair! Why, a fancy physicist like me is all the rage, with all the ladies.
My sources say no.
Well, I question the validity of your sources.
I question the validity of your mother.
Ingrid Newton is a saint! You take that back!
Make me, you extra virgin mama's boy.
Oh, you spherical swine! You obviously haven't heard of my third law of motion. For every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. You son of a bitch!
For me, the bigger problem with this book is that the words themselves were just way too big. Hey, take a look at this one right here. I can pronounce that. I stared at this word for 30 seconds, my mind just drew a blank. But the worst part? I didn't see the dash at the end. It went on to the next line. And it kept going, and going, and going. Frankly, this is just irresponsible rationing of syllables.
I knew from the beginning that I was going to have a lot of trouble reading this book. I mean, look at it. It's pretty thick. So I've always been a little bit of a corner cutter, and I did what any well-meaning underachiever would do. I went to the bookstore and I bought the Cliff Notes.
Whoa, there were Cliff Notes for this?
Not exactly. I'm afraid in my haste I accidentally picked up the Cliff Notes for Emily Bronte's Wuthering Heights. He took my heart! He pinched it to death and he threw it on the ground!
May you not rest as long as I am living. You say I killed, you haunt me then!
Some say the murderers do haunt the murdered, I suppose.
Oh, be with me always. Take any form, drive me mad!
But do not leave me in this abyss where I cannot find you!
Oh, God.
It is unutterable.
I cannot live without my life!
I cannot live without my soul!
Now, there were some parts of this book that I think at least had the potential to be interesting.
Yeah.
Had we read them. Take, for instance, chapter 3. It was titled, The Expanding Universe.
Or as we like to call it, whatever happened to Pluto.
Pluto, baby. Step into my nebula.
Thanks, son.
Please. Son is so formal. Call me Raw.
Okay. Ra?
Now, I got some good news and some bad news for you, Pluto. The good news is, you've been doing a great job out there in the back of the solar system. Keeping it cool, real cool. And I like that.
Thanks, son. Ra. That means a lot coming from you.
Great. The bad news is, I'm gonna have to revoke your status as a planet.
Oh, wait, no. Why? Wait, you just said I was doing a good job.
Oh, and you are, you really are. It's just so many little planetoids out there applying for planetary status, and you're going to face some budgetary cutbacks. And if we let you remain a planet, we have to let everyone be a
You
planet.
can't do this, please! Son, I just, you can't do this to me. I just bought a ring for Saturn, and she'll never take me seriously if I'm not a real planet.
I'm sorry, Pluto, but my hands are tied.
Can't believe this has happened. I've been here for 75 years. Doesn't that mean anything?
Oh, yeah, no, sure it does. In fact, we're going to make a whole new classification of planets just for you little guys.
Oh, okay.
From now on, you are a dwarf planet.
That sounds pretty offensive, actually.
Oh, come on, don't think of it as a demotion. Think of it as a promotion to a smaller job.
What?
See, now, instead of being a teeny tiny fish in a huge vast ocean, you will be a regular-sized fish in a regular-sized pond. No more being the butt of jokes around the office water cooler.
That was a joke?
Please. Mars, god of war. Venus, goddess of love. Pluto, pet dog of a talking mouse.
But I have my own moon!
And you can take it with you. But seriously, pack your things and leave. I'm going to have the black hole remove you by force.
I've always been interested by black holes. A giant vacuum in space that sucks everything into it, never to return again. There's a lot of things that Brian and I don't understand that, frankly, we would love to throw into a black hole. I would start with my fashion sense in high school. This is a picture of me with frosted tips. I never understood why I couldn't just be comfortable with who I was.
Yeah, I didn't really know who I was trying to be in high school. I spent the first 2 years trying to fit in, and the next 2 trying to stand out. So once I became a junior, I couldn't decide if I was supposed to be a goth or a raver. So I would go one day wearing all black with eyeliner and nail polish, and the next day wearing shiny silver and glitter.
When I was in high school, I never understood how to ask a girl out on a date. I was homeschooled for a while, so the only actual interaction I ever had with women were usually in retail settings. So one time I was grocery store shopping for my family, and I asked the cashier out, and she said no.
So there was this girl that I liked, and we would pass notes back and forth between classes, and I couldn't just get up the nerve to tell her that I liked her. And it wasn't until she gave me this note where she flat out said, kissed me after school that I finally did something about it. Then she left me for a guy with a lip piercing.
I never understood the choices I made with my time when I was younger. Shortly after graduating college, I moved in with my sister and I started my own business. And I was so terrified of failing that I spent pretty much every waking hour working. I would get up in the morning and I would work right up until I went to bed. And I really regret damaging and losing touch with a lot of great friends at the time. I never understood why I did that.
So I did high school theater, and I never got a single good role in high school. But I kept telling myself it'll be different when you're in college, you're an actual theater major, you know? Your hard work will pay off, and you'll finally get that lead role. But that never happened. These are all of the congratulations cards that I got in high school for being third guy from the left.
One thing I never understood about this book, there's no pictures, not a single one. It's a giant book and not a goddamn picture in the whole thing. I've always been more of a visual learner myself, so I decided to draw my own drawings. The first selection is from chapter 7, wherein Stephen Hawking explores Einstein's theory of relativity. For being one of the most groundbreaking concepts in all of science, this chapter sure was boring. So I drew a picture of Stephen Hawking in a rocket-powered wheelchair right here, blasting through space, yelling, "There is no absolute time!" The next selection. The next selection is Stephen Hawking hanging out, having a few beers with Galileo, wherein Galileo starts talking about his very simple-minded views of the universe, that the moon orbits Jupiter, to which Stephen Hawking says, "Adoy!" And then this is just me and Stephen Hawking deciding who's going to eat this giant pizza roll.
John, I got it! I got it!
What?
I understand it!
The book?
No, fuck the book. Time travel. I understand time travel.
Okay, explain.
Okay, so I tried to read the book.
Sure.
But I couldn't get through it.
Of course.
So I decided to watch the movie instead.
There wasn't a movie version.
No, there wasn't. So I watched every movie that's ever been made about time travel.
You really are convinced that this book is about time travel.
Duh. Okay, so it was on the third day around 4 a.m. I just finished watching Donnie Darko when it finally struck
Wait
me.
a second. 4 a.m.?
Yeah.
Did you sleep?
No, I was too busy watching movies.
You slept since then?
No, John, time travel. Get your priorities straight. Okay? Okay, so it was around 4 a.m. I was watching Donnie Darko when it finally hit me.
What hit you?
Piece of a jet engine from the future.
What?
Okay, it wouldn't kill me, except I was reading the Necronomicon at the time. Instead, I was whisked back in time to the Middle Ages, where I was on the run from the age of the Time and Force Commission.
Right.
Surprisingly good doing half-naked splits.
Yeah.
Well, then two guys in a phone booth showed up, and they took me to the 1800s, where I was watching an old man stare at a younger version of himself through a window on Christmas Eve.
Okay.
Then a DeLorean showed up, slammed right into the phone booth.
Right.
Clint Eastwood got out, I stole his car, went back to the future, where a naked pixie robot was trying to kill the super hot chick.
Okay.
Yeah, now, at that point I started thinking, okay, maybe I'm just dreaming the whole thing, we don't worry about this. But then I got a letter in my lake house mailbox from a woman 2 years in the future.
Sure.
I never got to meet her though, because I got drafted in the space program, went through a wormhole, broke light speed or something, I'm not really sure, the science is iffy. But I did land on a planet that was filled with apes. There's so many of them, there were like at least 12 monkeys. It was crazy. But then a passing ship came by, and I hitched with them back to the 1980s.
Okay.
And it was there that I was trying to stop a probe from destroying Earth because a humpback whale wasn't answering its call. It's really, really stupid. But I did find an old CB radio, and I tuned it to just the right frequency, so I was able to contact myself in the future. And that is how I wound up right back here.
Brian,
Yes.
get some sleep.
As you might have guessed, to say this was a difficult undertaking would be a huge understatement.
I mean, we tried a lot to get through this book, to understand it.
I tried to learn through osmosis, but I couldn't balance a book on my head.
I took speed reading classes.
I was so delirious from lack of sleep, I started hallucinating. I imagined that a talking cactus revealed to me all the secrets of the book. Sticking dirt in on a universe, and
Is there's a alloys, toys, is there breakfast, is there molecules?
American, you know, ever.
Ever. So you're Hurricane.
Hurricane! It was so enlightening. I just wish I could have remembered anything he said.
Sir, for the 17th time, paper or plastic?
Oh, I bet it was something magical.
Every time I made any sort of meaningful progress in the book, be it like a paragraph or a page, I would feel so good about myself that I would treat myself to a video break and I'd watch some videos on YouTube of cute animals, like these ones. Oh, so cute.
I went away to an etiquette school for a month.
And then I spent all this time while I was at Brian was in etiquette school.
John, I'm getting something. 3, 9, 4, 8, 6, 7.
Brian, that's the UPC code on the back of the book. After a while, we began to realize we weren't actually going to learn anything from this book. It was just sitting around our house making us feel bad about ourselves. So we started using it for practical things.
Yes, I use the book as a doorstop.
I use mine to swat flies.
I tore out pages and make paper airplanes that are very aerodynamically sound.
Yeah, and I would use mine to prop up the leg of my wobbly coffee table.
Hey, John, you know what would have made this book a whole hell of a lot better?
I like what you're thinking.
A dance number!
After a while, the book became more than a book. It started getting to us.
I think I started losing my mind. The book started speaking to me.
You're not good enough! You're a failure!
No,
You'll always be
don't say it!
third guy from the left! After a while, we started resenting the book. We hated the book.
We started blaming it for all of our problems.
I'm buried in work.
Buried in debt.
I care too much what other people think.
I care too much to let anyone in.
I lost my car keys.
I can't stand everything about myself.
Until I learn to appreciate all the small things in life.
When will I learn to be happy with my place in life?
I hate you! I hate you!
I hate
what you make you! Oh my God! My And then we gave up.
We had to accept that the book had beaten us.
We felt like we had failed. We let the book define us. We got angry at each other and we hurt ourselves throwing the book around recklessly. And then when we were done feeling sorry for ourselves, we realized something.
We realized that we were better off before the book. It's okay to not know all the answers. Sometimes it's good for there still to be some mystery left in the world.
So maybe we don't always understand the right thing to say to a girl. We don't always know where we're going in life, but that doesn't stop us from trying. And sometimes trying is enough.
So maybe that's not a brief understanding of time, but it is a brief understanding of what it is to be human.
We're Michinoku driver. Thank you and good night.